Am I the asshole for pointing at the kitchen when my mother-in-law asked, "Where is our dinner?" My husband had a serious injury weeks ago. He's bedridden and his family come to see him every single day. My mother-in-law keeps drilling what I need to do to make my husband comfortable, but does nothing to help. Just visits every day and sits around expecting to be fed and entertained. Sometimes my brother-in-law, his wife, and kids join them and turn the house into a mess. Yesterday, my mother-in-law, her husband, and son came again. They checked on my husband, then went to sit in the living room for hours. I served them coffee and croissants. Hours later, my husband threw up again, the second time. I had to take care of changing his clothes and cleaning the sheets to avoid infections. I was exhausted. I came downstairs and my mother-in-law looked at me and asked, "Hey, where's our dinner?" I was shocked that after seeing me go up and downstairs so many times and cleaning and bringing new sheets and running the washing machine, that she'd expect me to prepare dinner. I'd already eaten a sandwich at 6 and yogurt. I have problems with my stomach, and stress and pregnancy made it worse. I'm 4 months pregnant. I pointed at the kitchen and told her to help herself out. She gave me a look, then said she didn't expect me to ask her to cook dinner at my house. I said I didn't expect her to ask me to cook dinner while I'm taking care of her son. She started arguing about the way I spoke about my husband, saying as his partner, this is the least I could do, and called me unhinged for throwing in her face that I'm helping my husband. She then got her husband involved, asking what his thoughts were on me making guests go hungry and forcing them to cook for themselves when this is supposed to be my duty as a host homeowner. My father-in-law said they could order food and call it a day, and yelled at my younger brother-in-law to stop playing on his phone and order food, but my mother-in-law got mad and lashed out, criticizing me, saying I wasn't up to the challenge of taking care of my home and my guests like an adult. I lost it on her and told them to leave since she kept yelling, disrupting my husband's sleep. She left after saying she felt sorry for her son and grandbaby with an aggressive wife and mother like me. She told everyone, and my older brother-in-law said he understood I'd have a lot on my plate, but lectured me about how I should have respect for his mom, who was a guest. I was furious. Everyone ended up leaving, and I tended back to my husband. I can't seem to get it out of my mind, though. So, am I the asshole here? Am I the asshole for telling my son he deserved his girlfriend breaking up with him? So, my son had a long-distance girlfriend recently for about 2 years. She was great, a really nice girl, and we all loved her, welcomed her with open arms. She was flying here constantly to visit him, like a weekend a month, and he didn't lift a finger to go visit her. I tried talking to him about it several times and told him he should really start looking into flying over to her instead of expecting her to do all the traveling. He said no, and my wife probably had something to do with it, as she constantly told him she was afraid of him flying. I spoke to them both and said this girl is great for him. She was willing to move over to our country too, but said there was one condition, and that was he'd have to fly over to her country too, which I think is fair enough. He said no, he didn't want to fly or travel anywhere. My son was becoming lazier and lazier, eventually telling his girlfriend and us that he was perfectly fine never traveling anywhere, including holidays, etc. Last week, he told us she dumped him. I went on her Facebook page as well, as we're all friends. She wrote us an apology letter about how she's upset it didn't work out, but these things happen. So we're good. We're on good terms. And it looks like she's with a new guy already. Me and my wife have no doubt she was seeing him while still in the relationship with my son. I confessed to them both that I actually agree with her decision and he should have expected it. He did not treat her properly, and I hope he learns lessons for the next one because he needs to make more of an effort. I said he deserves it for his lack of effort in the relationship and for essentially just allowing this girl to spend all her money and time coming here all the time. My wife and son are very upset that I said this. Very, very upset. And my wife says that I am being horrible. Am I the asshole? I do stand by what I said. Am I the asshole for sleeping naked on top of the covers to teach my flatmate's girlfriend a lesson? So I, 21 guy, live with my childhood best friend, 22, also a guy, and have done so for 2 years now. Up until last week, things were perfect between us. However, he recently got a new girlfriend, 23, female, and she honestly seems absolutely great, except for one thing. She seemingly has a complete aversion to knocking. She and I have quite a lot in common, and I actually like spending time with her. However, it bugs the hell out of me when she just barges into my room without knocking first. Now, she's never walked in on me doing anything untoward. I'm usually just chilling on my bed or studying at my desk. However, on at least 7 separate occasions, now she's done it first thing in the morning to ask if I want coffee. I sleep naked. Every time prior to the last one, I've been under the covers and she hasn't said anything. I always point out that she could have, and she just giggles and says, "But I didn't." When she stayed over last week, in order to make my point, I intentionally slept on top of the covers. Sure enough, she barges in at 7 a.m., begins to ask if I want coffee, and sees my you-know-what. She immediately backed out of the room and didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. My mate later pulled me aside and said I was a bang out of order, accused me of deliberately exposing myself, and pointed out that I'd threatened to do it before. I literally just said, okay, but what if I had no covers and you saw everything before? They're now framing this to others that I'm some sick creep who intentionally got naked and lay in wait of her because that's how I get my rocks off. And I'm kind of seeing how it came off that way. Am I the asshole for doing this? Am I the asshole for refusing to look after my roommate's kid and calling the police for child abandonment? Landlord rented out the room to a mom and her 2-year-old daughter. Wasn't a big fan of the idea, but I have no input on who gets the room as each room is a separate lease. I squashed the idea very early on that I will watch, feed, or entertain the kid in any way. She's asked a few times for me to watch her daughter just for a bit and share food that I have ordered, but I've made it clear that will not happen every time. She texted me on Saturday while I was playing a game that she had a family emergency and I need to watch the kid overnight. No response to my texts after that. F that, so I called the cops and told them the child was abandoned. After that, I left and went to a movie with my phone on silent. I'm not sure what happened after that, but she was back when I came home from the movie. She's trying to get the landlord involved now too. Am I the asshole?